All right, here with Jeremy Jackson. Jeremy, thanks for coming on.
Thanks
You've
for
been
having
sober
me,
how
guys.
many years now?
Coming up on 3.
Congratulations.
In a week.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it, man.
And you guys, you're the owner of Beyond Blessed, which you guys, tell me a little bit about that, what you guys do.
Well, I've been practicing breath work for about 8 years now. And I was working in treatment centers a while back. Life got busy, life got crazy. I drifted away for a little while. And, I came back to it recently, trained some people. I got some facilitators underneath me. And much, like other aspects and areas of your recovery life, the community just lifts you up, man.
Right.
It's given me a job. It's given me income. It's given me a place to be of service.
Yeah.
So that's, every day, 3-4 times a day, I'm out there with a group of people, and I couldn't be happier.
Love it. And you and Ellie have a great reputation in the industry, and you're starting to get a buzz going around. And
we're doing some good things.
Definitely
man.
ask you guys to come over to South Coast and do some stuff for
Thanks.
us.
I would be honored.
Yeah. So the purpose of our podcast is just to bring people on, and you have a pretty fascinating story. I've heard parts of it, and I've read parts of it online. And
watch out.
Thank you for coming on, and just wanted to bring you on and learn more about you and hear your story. So let's start out like how you grew up, where you were born.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, thank you again for having me on the show.
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. And thank you for carrying the message. Thank you for getting the solution out there, for reaching out to people to help other people's stories connect with people who may be hurting or lost, or just create a higher vibration of the people that are doing good. Let them know they're not alone.
Absolutely.
A life beyond your wildest dreams is not a fantasy. It's not a fairy tale. It's very real.
It can happen.
Yeah.
So,
you're killing it. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Born and raised in Orange County. I was born in Anaheim, moved to Newport Beach when I was about 6, single mom. OC kid, man, born and raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you came up in Orange County, did you go to high school here? Or?
I did Newport Heights Elementary School.
Okay.
And about 3rd grade, I started getting so busy with acting jobs, So I was a real ham and a real character. I was driven, as most of us addicts are, I often tell people that, attention, accolades, confirmation was really kind of my first drug of choice, man.
So how does a kid get into acting? How does that happen? So
none of our family members were in the entertainment industry.
Okay.
My mom didn't know much about it. She was going to community college to keep our welfare going, so we were on housing and food stamps and all that kind of stuff. Single mom. My dad was a drug addict. She was trying to escape me having to experience that. So she was running away from that, trying to protect me on her own. Real strict Christian parents, not a lot of support. Gosh, looking back, it's like, man, 20 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
Me at 20?
Yeah.
She did so good.
Yeah.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's at college at OCC, and there's a little thing on on the bulletin board. It says child actors wanted. She's like, well, my kid won't stop entertaining. It's all he does.
Yeah.
And a little attention snob, Right. So she just called the people randomly, just shot in the dark, and turned out that agent was the agent of the Olsen twins.
Okay.
Screeched on Saved by the. She had all the successful kid actors. She wasn't a hack. She was the real deal. We just, Golden Goose kind of stepped in it accidentally.
Yeah.
Boom! I started going on auditions at 6 years old.
So they just throw you up there? Do they give you any classes? Or?
No, I just walk in there. I didn't need classes, man. I'm an addict. I'm an overachiever, dude. I saw Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley. I watched Knight Rider, and I was like, okay, that's what cool looks like.
Right.
I have to act like that.
Right.
I need that power. Okay, it's eye contact, shaking the hands, be an adult, look cool, do cool. And I never had a dad. So when I would go into an audition, when these men were telling me, hey, son, stand on that mark. I was listening. I was tuned in.
Yeah.
I've been practicing in my bedroom by myself, accents, costumes, choreography. I was driven, obsessed even from a year old. So when I finally got the chance to do a
Right.
good job, because I wanted this. You're a good kid, man.
Right.
Good
Approval.
job, kid.
Yeah.
I wanted that approval so bad. And boy, oh boy, that was my first drug. I got it, man. And I
Yeah.
needed to keep getting a hit. So I just started cleaning house, dude, just knocking them down. I did 60 freaking commercials by the age of 6,
Oh,
but
wow.
from 6 to 9.
Wow.
I was working.
Wow.
You know? Yeah.
Wow. So you're working, and so when you're doing that, you don't go to, do you go to school, or how does that work?
I was trying, but you know, the first summer where the Mattel commercial I was on came out, Hot Wheels. Here I am with the color racers, and I'm yeah, you know, that kid. And then Frosted Mini Wheats commercial, that was the same summer.
Right.
So every kid saw my face between every cartoon. So when I
Right.
go back from second grade
Right.
to third grade,
Yeah.
they pretty much hate me.
At Newport Heights.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know.
Yeah.
So a lot of fights. You know,
Right.
a lot of gossip.
Right.
Then the girls are clamoring and the
Right.
guys are hating. So I'm
Right.
an outcast early.
Yeah.
You know, I got problems early.
Yeah. Yeah. So you feel that, and then what? So how did that progress? So what happened
just-
with school?
I got too busy. So
Yeah.
it was homeschool. It was
Okay.
a lot of private tutors on the set. You know, for a while, Newport Heights sent me my homework for the week. I was going to be gone for a week, so they give me the homework, and then it just got too complicated.
Yeah.
So I did homeschool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did homeschool, so you didn't have that normal going to school like
Far
normal
from it.
kids.
Yeah.
And you're on sets and
Yeah. Yeah.
So then
and
what-
traveling,
Yeah.
you know, private tutors, a lot of real world kind of education. I'm hanging out with adults. I'm overhearing business conversations. It was definitely a different type of
Yeah.
education.
Do you feel like you missed being around other kids, or did you think about that at the time? Or
Yeah, you know, it's a double-edged sword. You know, it's two sides to every coin, right?
Yeah.
I'm hyperactive. I'm dyslexic.
Right.
I'm, you know, they gave me this, you know, clinical diagnosis of gifted learning disabled. So they wanted to put me in GATE all day, the accelerated program, and they wanted to put me in special ed all day. I was already going to special ed, I think, a special day. You know,
Right. Yeah.
they wanted me in the trailer on the field
Right.
all day, and then they wanted me with the advanced kids. They didn't
Right.
know what to do with me.
Right.
So I'm getting attention deficit disorder. I'm getting in trouble. I just want to have fun. I want to, you know, I want action. So it probably saves me from a lot of heartache, you know,
Right.
and I'm more of an experiential learner. So I was out there probably doing what was best for me, honestly. But
Right.
high school dances, proms, never been to one of those, you
didn't
know.
happen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. And so that you started getting more and more jobs acting,
Yeah.
right? And then you were on the show Baywatch,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
So tell me about that and how that happened.
10 years old, man. I'm out there, and we're in, where was I? I was in Irvine, swimming in the pool, playing with my friends. You know, my mom's girlfriend, they had sons my age, and I'm having fun. We're, you know, doing what kids do. And my mom's like, you got an audition. It's that lifeguard show.
Right.
I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to go. I'm playing with my friends. She's
Right.
like, no, it's the Night Rider.
Right.
The Night Rider could
Yeah.
play your dad.
Right.
This is a big deal. We got to go. I was still kind of mad about it that I had to not play with my friends anymore.
Right.
But we drove out to L.A. My mom's car's catching on fire on the way out there, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And boom. There's, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio's in that room. Will Horniff, the guy who was on the show Lassie. I mean, you name it. All the, you know, child actors that are in my age range, they were there. It was a big job, a series regular on a TV show
Right.
that was going to go pretty big.
Right.
Right? It was a serious audition. I got it, beat everybody out, and probably because I was a beach kid. You know, I already had sand in my shoes.
You're
I
a
already
Newport
had
Beach kid, right?
sun
Yeah.
streaks in my hair.
Yeah.
You know, I was already boogie boarding so when they're like, "Can you swim?" I'm like, "What stroke?"
Right.
You know, like,
Right.
wait, what? Yeah, I can
Yeah.
backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle.
Yeah.
What do you want? And they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh crap, we
Yeah.
love you."
Yeah. Yeah. So you got that, and that
Nailed it.
became your life for.
Yeah, for 11 years, you know.
Right. So from
Yeah.
10 to 21, you did
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
And I released 2 albums. In that time, I had a couple top 10 hits. World Music Hall of Fame inductee, performed in front of 15,000 people chanting my name. All that Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
you know, manifestation, all that visualization that I
Right.
saw back in the day, it happened for me.
Right.
Man. I was doing the Elvis thing.
Right.
I was getting off the plane, and they were waiting.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I've definitely arrived.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so when was the first time was it in that period you had your first drink or your first?
You know, what was, man, probably I mean, be totally honest. Probably by like 3 years old, 4 years old, I was mixing our household chemicals.
Oh, wow.
Bleach, ammonia, Pine Sol, Comet, peroxide, rubbing alcohol. I would grab them and hide them. Mm-hmm. I would close the door, put a towel under it, and I would make different concoctions to see which one would like blow up, melt the Tupperware.
Yeah.
Definitely discovered huffing.
Yeah.
You know, without knowing it, but also just the excitement of doing what I was told not to do.
Right.
No, that's dangerous. No, don't touch that. It's dangerous. Yeah. Why is it dangerous? What do you mean dangerous? Maybe I want danger.
Right.
Maybe you're hiding something from me. Maybe these adults have something figured out. I see you smoking stuff, drinking stuff, having a good time. I'm not having a good time. I want to have a better time.
Right.
So I'm mixing household chemicals. I also stuck bobby pins, forks, knives, and tweezers in every outlet of our house. No matter how many times I shocked myself, I blew out every outlet in our house. Don't touch that. It's dangerous. What do you mean? Yeah. Maybe it's a portal to another dimension. Right. You know, I want to escape this life. Yeah. I need to be somewhere much better.
Right.
And I'm going to figure it out. Nobody told me. You know, nail polish remover. I tried smoking cigarettes probably by 6 or 7 or 8, you know, latest. Yeah. Did nothing. You know, I was like, it's not, I mean, it makes me feel kind of gross, but it doesn't make me feel good. So I started dipping them in nail polish remover. You know, it's kind of strawberry, acetone, chemicals. I'm like, and I'm waiting for them to dry, and I'm smoking them. Maybe there's a new level. So always a new level for me.
Right.
Always trying to do it. And, you know, I'll do it all until I find what works for me.
Right.
Nobody showed me how to get high. Nobody told me that existed. I just had this sense within me that there was something outside of me I needed to find early on. So eventually there was a lady who, you know, I smelled this funny smell from her car whenever she came home from work, and she left her windows down. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I go rooting through her car.
How old were you when that happened?
Probably 10.
Yeah.
You know? She's got roaches in there. Right. And I'm smoking her roaches.
Right.
It wasn't long after that I broke into her house when she wasn't home, found her stash under her bed, and just started occasionally pinching that sack.
Yeah.
You know? And that was cool. Then it was cool because I had weed, and then other people, older kids, were like, "Oh, this little kid's got weed. Heck yeah! What's up, little homie?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a G."
Right.
So I mean, the progression, man, started pretty early for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so did it start having an effect on your career and your acting? Or?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, you know, I'm a thrill seeker. I'm a dopamine junkie. I mean, I get a high just sneaking out of my bedroom window when I'm a kid. Like, ooh, this is, I could get caught. I could get a whipping. Maybe I'll go find some, you know, who knows what I'll find out there. So I'm just doing anything. And, you know, of course, Mom's very protective. Mom loves me. Mom wants to protect me. And I hate it. I hate it. She's against me as far as I'm concerned, right? So, I mean, of course, that was painful. Painful just trying to get this woman to give up on me. Leave me the F alone. What is wrong with you? I just want to go make messes.
Right.
You won't allow me to make, I want to do it. I want to do it all. So a lot of strife there, a lot of anger there, a lot of disconnection there, a lot of running away from home, a lot of hanging out with older kids, of course, getting in trouble with older kids, doing what older kids are doing.
Right.
And probably by 12 years old, now the checks are coming, you know, and I'm stealing them. So I'm stealing my checks, and I'm basically paying for companionship. I'm buying people's friendship and time, and doing what older kids are doing, because most 12-year-old kids aren't doing what I'm doing. So I need to find the ones that are. They're 16. You know, they got a car. Okay, I'm buying gas. I'm buying the smokes. I'm buying the booze. Whatever it is, check it out. I just cashed a check for $2,000. Got it. So stealing from myself, stealing from my family, and I'm looking to get in as much trouble as I can. I'm looking to do everything I'm told not to do.
Yeah. When's the first time you really got in trouble where you had some consequences?
You know, I mean, I got probably about 12-ish, 14-ish, somewhere between 12 and 14. We broke into this schoolyard snack shack at Lincoln Elementary School, and we were hanging out in there, eating their candy bars, smoking weed in there, and the cops came, and I got pretty busted. Had a couple knees in my back, got treated pretty poorly, like a criminal, doing what criminals do, and I'm all upset that I'm getting treated like one. How dare you?
Right.
Don't you know who I am? That was pretty scary, and of course they told, my teachers looked me in the eye and said, "You're going to end up in prison one day."
Yeah.
I remember this teacher, she was so mad at me. I just pissed everybody off.
Yeah.
Confused, Why? I just want to have fun.
Right.
And that was pretty scary. Man, when I probably started going to rehabs at 14. So here I got to work on the show, and I've been running around drunk, smoking weed. I'm pale. Me and my buddies got wasted. We shaved our heads, and I'm supposed to be this golden surfer boy with locks, and I'm pale, puffy, and I got a buzzed head. Like, what's happening to you?
Right.
Mixed with puberty, I look like trash, and I'm supposed to be the golden boy, beach boy. So go to rehab, clean up my act.
At 14 is the first time you went to rehab.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Clean up my act for the winter time so I can patch it, back together. And that created quite the cycle of tearing it down, building it up, tearing it down, building it up. So it's party my face off all winter, go to rehab. It became a routine. I would just go to rehab 90 days before I had to work. Then we'll go see the wardrobe stylist. Then we'll go see the hairstylist. Then I'll go see the esthetician. I'll get my face fixed, maybe a tooth fixed that I broke or what have you. So it was this very extreme lifestyle of tearing it down just to put it back together. So
your teenage years, you'd go to rehab.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd intentionally get in rehab just in time to get back to work.
From 14 to 20, I did that.
Okay.
Until I was busted at 20 years old for manufacturing methamphetamine and looking at 35 years in prison.
Okay, so you're working, you're a TV star on Baywatch, cooking meth.
Yes.
Okay.
Turning down $1 million deals. Turning them down. That's not the one for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Walk to Remember with Mandy Moore, the movie was written for me as the lead role. I was like, just doesn't sound like a hit to me. I'm going to pass.
Right.
And I'd rather party.
Right. Right.
At that time, cocaine was pretty cool guy's drug back then. I'm going to the Playboy Mansion. I'm, dating hot chicks. I've got limos, and, now I got this pack of friends that are eating off me, and I'm happy to give it all away, because I just want to get that big night. I just want that good, that perfect night.
Right.
The obsession, right?
Yeah.
And after some time with coke and a little ecstasy here and there, some pills here and there, but I was pretty much a cokehead, man. And I thought it was kind of distinguished, It meant power back then.
Right.
If you had a big bag of coke and young and all that, it was you were cool.
Right.
Or at least I thought so. Then ran out of coke one night, man. And this girl had candy. She said, "I got candy. To do some of this candy." Does anybody know what she's talking about?
Yeah.
Candy? What's candy? She's like, candy. And my buddy's like, "I think she's talking about meth."
Yeah.
And I go, "Meth? Like speed?
Yeah.
Like the toothless trailer park people stuff?"
Right.
Oh no, dude, that's not me. I don't do that stuff.
Right.
That's bad for you. This coke's good for you.
Yeah.
But withdrawing from the
Sure.
coke, couldn't get any more. We were out of town. There was nowhere. I remember wanting to strangle people because I was convinced everybody was lying to me and that people had coke.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'll do it, but I'm not snorting that stuff, dude. No. I'll smoke it. I'll just to try a little smoke. And she became my girlfriend for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a big, fast, hard downward spiral.
Right.
I mean, more pain and misery than I ever would have bit had I known the consequences.
Right.
That stuff had me just blind.
Right.
And so I threw everything away. I mean, I didn't even want to answer my phone. I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I got in with a pretty rough crowd out in L.A. Needless to say, I've been shot at, held hostage, attempted kidnapping, actual kidnapping, guns in my face, in my mouth, been involved in multiple stabbings. home invasion robberies done to me, home invasion robberies I was a part of, all the yets, all the stuff you would never do or could never imagine yourself doing. They all materialized and manifested in my life.
So back up a little bit. At 20 years old, you got arrested for manufacturing methamphetamine.
Yes, by the Newport Beach Police Department.
In Newport Beach.
In the city of Yorba Linda. They were watching me.
Okay.
They had a whole little sting operation on it.
Okay.
Little Hobie from Baywatch out there cooking meth.
Right. And this is
I was.
This is the end of your Baywatch career.
Oh yeah. So I quit Baywatch with my middle finger in the air at 18.
Okay.
I said, screw you guys. I had been up for 5 days.
Okay.
And I was trying my best, man.
Yeah.
And it was I couldn't move my mouth right.
Right.
I couldn't linguistically pronounce my lines.
Yeah.
I had that that lazy tongue thing going.
From coke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just locked up.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
So, rather than get on it, who does that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm going to blame it on you.
Right.
You're an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what? You guys have been using me.
Yeah.
You guys have been underpaying me. I'm the reason people watch this show.
Right.
And good luck doing it without me explaining why I'm not here anymore. Screw you.
Yeah.
I get more fan mail than anybody.
Yeah.
Which was kind of true at the time.
Right.
Second maybe to Pamela.
Yeah.
But here I am. I walk off the show, and they called me. They were always trying to get me back. I came back and I did a little bit when I was 19. The whole like one episode to help them explain. They gave me a juicy offer, and then I came back again about 21 when I had gotten sober at that time. So I left the show, man, and did nothing but party.
Yeah.
That was from 18 to 20 was really nothing but ripping, running.
And that was meth. You got involved with meth.
Yep.
And so what happened? You got arrested and charged with that and went to rehab again. Is that what happened?
Went to Act of Providence, man. Luckily I had $100,000 stashed, and it cost every red cent that I had to go to jail for 90 days and rehab for 6 months.
Okay.
And 3 or 5 year probation, I forget. So, because it was kind of my big first offense like that. Was I cooking meth? Yes. Was I cooking meth for a large sales operation? No, it was mainly for me.
Right.
Yeah. So I had gotten pretty much ripped off, beat up, lied to, conned, stolen from, sold, cut so many times. I said, screw it. I'm going to just figure it out.
Yeah.
And that was real scary, man. I mean, these cops knew me. I've lived out here my whole life. And I remember they looked at me, man, and they said, look at you, kid. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You could have anything you want right now. What are you doing? I remember I was so high, my upper lip was stuck. My mouth was so dry. My upper lip was like stuck to my teeth. I thought about it. I actually took a second and thought about it. What am I doing? It's an interesting question. What am I doing? I was like, I'm this far gone.
Right.
I'm this deep because of a whole bunch of just one mores.
Right.
That's gnarly. It was. I just thought it was going to be one more.
Yeah.
I just thought it was going to be one more.
One more time. That's what we chase, right?
And I said, I'm an addict.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah.
At 20. That's why I'm doing this.
And that's when you did the sobriety light bulb come on that time when you went to rehab?
I stayed sober for 12 years straight.
Oh, wow.
After that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Luckily, the jail and the rehab kept me on the straight and narrow for a little while, you know. After I completed that stuff, I went home for about a year, went through a huge depression. I slept all day, peed in bottles all night, watched cartoons,
Your first year of sobriety.
Party chat lines. I was, really depressed.
Yeah.
I did not get involved with the recovery community. I did not seek mentorship. I knew if I left the house, I was the jumping off point.
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't keep getting high, but I had no idea how to live without getting high. I felt like if I walked out of the door, dope was just going to fly in my pocket. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I knew I would just do it. So I didn't even want to leave the house.
Yeah.
And that was pretty gnarly. And my mom kind of, she really forced me to get out, and met a couple people that are the people that I try to emulate today.
Right.
A couple guys around my age that they didn't even call, dude. They showed up at the house with a couple energy drinks,
Yeah.
smoked some cigarettes on the lawn, and
Yeah.
refused to leave until I got out of bed and went with them. So
Right.
we just go shoot pool sometimes.
There you go.
We'd go for a surf
Yeah.
at sundown sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, we'd go sit on a park bench and read some stuff that did not make any sense to me, you know, but they wouldn't leave me alone. I had no idea what was going on, but they did.
Yeah.
And they kind of nurtured me through a very infantile stage until I started to get my feet underneath me, which brings about a whole new set of problems when you think you got your feet underneath you,
Sure.
and you think you got something figured out, and you start trying to do it on your own.
Right.
Everything. I've discovered heaven today by backing up from hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I've stumbled into a beautiful place, but it was
Yeah.
only from being like, and what I've learned and where I'm at is specifically and distinctly by making so many mistakes. I've done it every version of wrong that I'm comfortable with doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it any more versions of wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty fun place to be at.
Right.
You know?
So that 12 years, you started getting around the sober community at all?
Big
and
time,
You
yeah.
loved it and
I did, yeah.
started really falling in love with sobriety.
100%.
Right.
I was introduced to a new way of living.
Yeah. And then what did you learn during that time about sobriety and yourself? And
Yeah. Well, you know, I learned in the mix, right at the time, in
Right.
the mix, felt pretty happy, pretty driven, but of course, still restless, irritable, and discontent. I still believed back then that if I had a little more of this, or if if my abs showed more, or if I had a little more muscle, or if I had a new car, or if I built a business big enough, or if I had saved enough money, if I had accomplished enough on the outside, if I had a big enough following, if I were to get back on a TV, I still believe something outside of me could improve my situation.
Right.
Although I had a much better life, I was still very driven by self.
Right.
And of course, I found myself restless, irritable, and discontent.
Yeah.
Sure, it's good, but I need to make it better. Self-will, right? So I
Yeah.
had a lot of self-will. I was very driven. Yes, I built a business. Yes, I traveled around the world. I produced 200 fashion shows. I stayed dead sober. I had no desire to drink.
Right.
I'm in nightclubs. I'm producing fashion shows. I'm working with Paris Hilton. I'm working with Nikki Hilton. I'm working with the Osbournes. I'm working with a lot of big, Young Jock, Chingy, Birdman. They're like in my fashion shows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's right. You know,
Right.
I'm a TV star again, and I'm doing big things again, and lightning strikes twice, and I'll show them, and right, this kind of pride and ego thing. And it worked for a while, you know, but I found myself cross-addicting a lot. Now it's girls. You know, I'm willing to stay sober and go to the club and throw a big party and make the money. But when I go home, I need to bring a girl with me. If I don't land a hot chick
Yeah.
at this club, maybe that means I'm not good enough. Maybe
Right.
it means I'm losing it. Oh my gosh, I'm getting too old. Oh,
Right.
people don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there was girls, and it was gambling, and it was,
Right.
you know, so they're going to Vegas to shine and do the
Right.
whole thing, you know, put the whole show on, and never really scratched the itch, never really quenched the thirst. Returned to sanity, so the idea of a drink or a drug, I knew that would definitely pop the raft.
Right.
You know? But I just felt like we needed some accoutrements. I needed the
Sure. Accoutrements.
I
Good
needed
word,
some
yeah.
extra. I needed some accoutrements. I needed some dressing on this thing. So again, driven, and I found it 10 or 12 years later in a relationship, very attached to this title or this visual example of who I am as a champion jiu-jitsu guy that's buff, with a really hot girlfriend, with a really nice house, with cool cars, and the guy that CEOs and celebrities and underwear models and world champion bodybuilding competitors, like, they come to me. Like, I'm the mentor, I'm the dietary coach, I'm the lifestyle coach. And, all of that stuff can be taken away.
Right.
All of that stuff is a false floor. All of that stuff changes. You know, there's always somebody out there better than you.
Yeah.
There's always somebody out there younger than you, always somebody out there stronger than you, always somebody. Those millionaires can lose them. Those millionaires move to Dubai, you know,
Yeah.
and then now what do I have? Now I got to find another millionaire.
Right.
Got to find another millionaire to coach, or I can't be what I need to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
7 areas of self-esteem, pride, security, ambition, personal relationships, sexual relationships, pocketbook.
Yeah.
I need my own perception, my own needs, my own wants, my own sense of security, how much money I need or you need to give me. I need all these boxes checked, right? And so I'm relying on the world. Essentially, I got no God reliance. I got no God consciousness. I might do a prayer, you know.
Right.
I might tell you I believe till I'm blue in the face, right? And then all of a sudden, helping other people seems like a chore.
Yeah.
Seems laborious. These guys are idiots. They'll never get it. Why are they wasting my time?
Right.
You know, I got more important things to do.
Yeah.
And you know what, now I'm just booked out and I'm too busy and I need more sleep, man. I don't have time to go hang out with those dudes and be in a room full of people that really haven't figured it out, because I'm 32 and I have 12 years sober.
Right.
I got a doctorate in this stuff. So, you know, I may have gone through a rough patch, but, you know, maybe I'll go back every year just to show everybody that it can be done. I'll do them a favor by showing Oh, man.
Yeah.
You know, driven by 100 forms of fear and self-delusion.
Yeah.
And I was deep in it, and I did it. It was ideas. It was, you know, certain self-righteous, I put myself in a self-imposed prison, man.
You know, it's funny. One of my mentors in this whole sobriety world always talks about, you know, people that go out with time. And, you know, I got sober at 22 and stayed sober till I was 30.
Yeah.
And went out. And it's like, it's always this and that. And there's a story about the girl or the business, but then it's always, and then I got away from going to those things that I was supposed to go to on a daily basis, and the meetings and the people that we hang out with. And that seems to be the one thing that we all have in common when we go back out after some time, is we just detach from our community.
Yeah. I had that exact realization once. I was so in the story, right? She left me. My ex-wife developed some late onset, like schizophrenic, like delusional, you know, auditory, visual hallucination, some really gnarly mental disorders, right? And I had invested into her, but we were gonna take over the world, you know? I couldn't have accounted for that. I didn't know that was gonna happen, right? So that really sent me on a spiral. The story, right? The story. And I was sitting in a group once, and I had all that story. If this wouldn't have happened like that, I should have just done this instead of that. If I wouldn't have done this, if I was stronger here, blah, 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 blah. And then I looked at my buddies that I had more time than at one time, right? For the guys that I thought I was lending a helping hand to, and now they got 15 years sober, and I have 15 days.
Yeah.
And they just started talking. I looked around the room at these old timers, man. My buddy has like 26 or 28 years sober. The other guy had like 32 or something. My one buddy has 15. And I was like, it's a private little group. And I'm like, I was like, wait a minute. They probably lost money or lost a job. One of their moms died or sister. They all went through stuff. What is that? I was like, oh my gosh! They kept coming and I didn't.
Kept going to meetings.
That's it. Talk about humility, right?
Man. That's it.
And I was like, wow, that's actually what really happened.
Yeah. So tell me about the first time, so at 12 years, when you went out. Tell me that story. That first time you put a substance in your body.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. You know, I started off with prescribed medication, right? Wasn't out of control. I even had a few glasses of wine with the missus, you know. We were drifting apart. She was going into some hardships. I thought, man, I'm 12 years sober. We're going to Maui. We went to St. Bart's. You know, we're going down to the Omni in San Diego just for the weekend with the dog. I'm doing well. There's no way a couple glasses of wine in the jacuzzi and a conversation would split a bottle, you know? And we made a silly little pact. I said, all right, if I get out of hand, if I get weird, if I start craving drugs or doing, like, I'll just stop, you know? And none of that really happened. It was kind of chill for a year or so.
Yeah.
And then when we broke up and got in this huge fight argument, and I went over to a friend of mine's house, and I had started taking some Xanax just to sleep because the Adderall was kind of keeping me up too much. And I wasn't even abusing it. I was taking it less than prescribed. I was so proud of myself.
Right.
And so when the false floor fell out, when my little fantasy world that I thought I could control and manage, like other normal people, when that fantasy fell, I was left with me and my feelings and the mess that I had made. And I just started drinking real heavy.
Right.
I started taking Xanax real heavy, just trying to blot out the miserable state of my existence, the bitter morass of quick self-pity stretched out around me in all directions, right? Here I am sinking, and screw it. I don't even care because it's all gone. And after about a month of that misery, I looked at the girl and I said, do you know anybody that can get meth? You know?
Right.
And she said, yeah. So somebody comes over with some meth, and I went into the bathroom, kind of ashamed, right? I don't want anybody to watch me do this. It's been, I'll get there. So I go in the bathroom, I got no shoes on, and I'm sitting on the toilet, got my utensils and supplies, and I look down at the top of my right foot, and on the top of my right foot is my sobriety date, 9/24/2000, this original sobriety date. And I thought about it for a second. I said, hey, what day is it? Like, it's Tuesday. I'm like, no. What's the date? September 24th, 2014. Wow. I hadn't smoked meth for 14 years.
And it's that day.
And I did it that day.
Holy smokes.
And that, I mean, again, just like before, man, you know, I have my buddies joke around with me. They call me and they're like, man, you were fine when you were on coke. I don't know, if you would have never gone to the meth shit, you would have been fine. Why didn't you just stick with the coke? Yeah. You know, and I wasn't doing so bad with the little bit of drinks and drugs, but honest to God, she was my DOC, you know, the unhealthy relationship. Yeah. Somehow I was so fixated and enmeshed and engrossed in her life that I was able to kind of mitigate damage and manage my consumption of other things. But when she was gone, you know, so to the day, 9/24/2000, from that day, it was, dude, I got in so much trouble. I mean, it was horrible, you know, crashed cars, arrested, guns in my face, kidnappings, in and out of jail. Living with gang members in the garage. My job was to go steal shit and bring it back. You know, as long as I went out and stole shit and brought it back, they'd take care of me. It was gnarly. Heavy duty, weird stuff. A lot of weird stuff.
And so how long did that last?
That lasted about a year.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever, in the past 22 years, I've been sober about 18 out of them.
Yeah.
I last a day. A year is it's the longest I've ever gone. Yeah. Because even as a kid, I didn't last more than the winter. I always had to go. Yeah. You know, because I go in.
So was that run 4 years ago before you got sober, or this time, or
that run was a year. Ended in looking at 7 years in prison again. Okay. And it was very bleak. Yeah. It didn't look like there was any budge room, you know? So I went to rehab again for 4 months, Pasadena Recovery Center, you know? And then I went to go work at a rehab, stayed there for 4 months, you know? I think I like smoked weed. Like I smoked a little bit of weed on a 4th of July, and I was like, why did I do that? Yeah. So I did a little bit of the 3 month, 6 month, 9 month thing, because I thought working in treatment was going to be like this new and incredible thing that was going to guarantee my sobriety, you know, which didn't happen. And I tried to get committed, and I tried to go and like do other stuff, and like it just didn't seem like stuff was sticking. Yeah. I think I got 2 years again. And then I was just coming up on 3. I had a sugar mama. I was all Gucci, Louis. That whole thing happened to me again. And I went out. And so I didn't get in a bunch of trouble. But this 3 years has been totally different. Yeah. Something really just popped. My head came out of my butt somehow, dude.
So what happened the day you got sober?
Which day? This time.
This time.
So I was living in sober living, and I had been using meth and I was scared, right? The last meth relapse that I had, which was probably 4 years ago now, I said I was going to do a week. It turned into off and on for 2 months. Really scared. Forgot I was an addict. I don't know how I keep doing that. And so I went to rehab for 2 weeks on my own. First time I ever checked myself into a rehab. I didn't tear anything down. My family didn't know. My friends didn't know.
Right.
I didn't ruin anything yet,
Right.
you know? So I checked myself in, and then I went to sober living and was doing cool, you know? About 90 days into sober living, I started microdosing mushrooms. That seemed really great, man.
Yeah.
And then I was microdosing LSD, and that seemed awesome.
Yeah.
Smoking a little DMT. I mean, this is great. I'm in Laguna Beach with beautiful people. They're all spiritual and healthy. And on these psychedelics, I got hit with this big reality. Like, this voice came in my head.
Yeah.
And it said, Jeremy, you're going to be looking out of a little window in a concrete room for the rest of your life. You don't know how to control or manage. You are a criminal. And when you do drugs, you do criminal shit. And you're not fit for society, and you're going to go to prison. You have to stop. The healing you must do moving forward must be raw and unenhanced. You have got to do the 12 steps. Beep. You have got to do the beep.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Scared the crap out of me. It was so real, so honest, so authentic, so powerful, so non-negotiable. Something about it was just too impactful to be reasoned with.
Right.
Okay, I heard, I got it. I told on
moment of
myself.
clarity, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I told on myself at the sober living. I went back. I said, you guys, I've been like taking stuff. Let myself get in trouble. Recommitted. Doubled my efforts. Stopped worrying about relationships, stopped worrying about jobs, stopped worrying about money, stopped worrying about how I look, stopped worrying about anything but spiritual growth and developing a community around me. Monkey see, monkey do. If you're doing it and it works for you, I'm going to do what you're doing. I'm going to stop doing my way, my version, getting a little bit sidetracked. I'm too scared to do it wrong anymore. All I know how to do is do it a little bit wrong, and a little bit wrong costs me everything every time. I don't know why. I think if I do this little 10% thing on the side, that it won't bite me in the ass. But now I know, empirically, evidence proven, it bites me in the ass every time. I'm not going to do even a 1% thing that could cost me this 99. Right. I need this 99, and I need that 99 to be 100. Yeah. And maybe if this thing that I tried to do 60%, 70%, 80%, if it becomes 100, maybe then I'll be able to do stuff from this new foundation. Maybe then. But I'm going to put off all of the other stuff for this and see what happens. Yeah. And I surrendered, and I did that, and only that, and here we are.
That's a huge word, man. We surrender, you know. It took me a long time. You know, the first time I was sober in my 20s, I was like, you know, I always kind of thought, you know, I knew I needed to be sober, and like you, just chasing this and building businesses and stuff, and how I looked, and I always kind of had in my mind that maybe it was a phase, or, you know, I was young.
Right.
And,
same thought. Mm-hmm.
I went out, and, you know, when I decided to come back years later, I couldn't. You know, I did a week, a month.
I did that,
And it's
what's
like,
wrong?
I had a guy tell me one time in a meeting, just because you want to get sober doesn't mean you get to get sober. Right. And I went home that night, and that was my last drink, and I got drunk, not very drunk, but a little drunk. And that guy's voice just over and over and over in my head, same thing. It's like, if I'm going to do this, I got to work those steps, and I got to totally buy in.
Yeah.
And I think that that's my biggest asset in sobriety now, is knowing that I can get back to that point, and knowing that I have no choice if I want to have any kind of life, that I got to keep my sobriety first.
Right.
And you know, I can totally relate to what you're saying. And
I love this paradoxical
Yeah.
way of living, man. It's like, if I want to win, I got to surrender.
Right.
If I want to receive, I've got to give.
Right.
Right. If I want to awaken, I got to
Yeah.
die to my old self.
Yeah.
The yesterday's me gets loaded today.
Yeah.
I right. The spiritual experience of
Right.
yesterday does not have me happy, joyous, and free. Yesterday's shower doesn't have me clean today.
Right.
Yesterday's meal doesn't keep me fed. It's a
Yeah.
daily thing.
A daily reprieve,
Yeah.
contingent on our spiritual condition.
I'll forget,
Yeah.
and I won't even know that I forget. I'll think
Right.
that I remember.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to me this 3 years, man. What's that been like? And you know, you've obviously kind of said what's different. But
Yeah.
like, in your actions and your daily life and your
Dude.
attitude, like what are you up to now? And
It's a trip, man. Taoism, quantum mechanics, philosophy,
yeah.
Christianity, psychology. Like, all of a sudden, all this stuff makes sense to me.
Right.
Like, I know what they're talking. Like, I've had my own experience that when I hear the stuff that
Right.
I've been hearing for years, I'll be listening to a song that I've heard
Yeah.
50,000 times. And all of a sudden, it's like I heard it for the first time.
Yeah.
When the student is ready, the master appears.
Right.
And for me, I thought I was ready. I wanted to be ready for so long, right?
Yeah.
I thought if I just did the stuff, if I did the homework, if I checked the boxes, if I gave rides to newcomers, if I had a commitment, then that means I'm doing it.
Right.
But like you said, just because you want it doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Right.
Like, the surrender is something so magic. The window is so magic that we got to do everything. I got to do everything in my power to keep it.
Right.
I got to stay surrendered.
Right.
So now I used to hear, when the student is ready, the master appears, and I would be like, okay, I got to get ready to be this person that is ready to get the message that other people will show up in my life with some new information when I am sharp enough, when I am regimented enough, when I am disciplined enough, when I'm working hard enough. And when I hear that statement today, what I think is like, all of the lessons, all of the beauty, all of the God, all of the abundance, all of the blessings are at our fingertips 24/7.
Right.
We just are too blind to see them.
Sure.
And usually because we're thinking about something stupid, small,
Right.
anxious, not in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm tapping into this fundamental awareness of God, which we talk about, right? In all places, at all times, in all things, ever present.
Yeah.
The message, the lesson is ever present. Always rising and gaining in spiritual awareness, one moment at a time, one day at a time. And it's not a thing I'm chasing, it's a thing I'm part of. The relationship, to be part of that, is crazy.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'll listen to something that I've listened to a million times, and I'm like, I know what they're talking about. Quantum physics, going from one place to an entirely new place, going from material to energy,
Right.
from matter to wave. I'm like, dude, I've done
Yeah.
that. I've been reborn. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the guy I used to be.
Yeah.
And letting go of our old ideas, and until we did, the result was nil. And Taoism says the sage has no goals. Therefore, everything he does is a success.
Right.
And I'm like, I get that.
Right.
It wasn't until I let go that I was afforded this massive opportunity that was beyond my comprehension before. I couldn't have even envisioned it. Albert Einstein says that the mind that created the problem is not the mind that can solve the problem. In order to solve the problem that I created, I must have a new awareness. I must be expanded in consciousness, and these lessons, these blessings, this ever present, it's willing to provide everything I need.
Yeah.
And just how in its way am I going to be?
Yeah.
How married am I to my little plans and ideas?
Yeah.
So I'm just down to let go. I'm just down to just get naked and just surrender.
Yeah.
It's the secret weapon. It's everything I've ever needed, right? So uncommon sense becomes common sense, right? The stuff that there's no way. You don't understand. I have got to look a certain way, and I've got to have a thing ready because I got to get this job, because if I get that job, then I'm going to have this thing, and then I'll be able to afford the apartment. It doesn't work like that. It actually doesn't.
Right.
But I used to think it did.
Yeah.
And it's just life has become inside out. And
Yeah.
I don't think anything short of that is keeping anybody sober.
Yeah.
We need a sufficient substitute. It's got to be bigger than anything we've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go back to the old familiar.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I have to continue to take those leaps. I have to
Yeah.
continue to flex that faith.
Yeah.
I got to continue to jump, trust the process.
Right.
God and others,
Yeah.
you know, less me,
Yeah.
more you,
Right.
less me, more God. And then all of a sudden I'm like on a flying carpet ride of life. Like,
Right.
woohoo, how did I get here?
Yeah.
It sure wasn't me, because I would have shit this bed a long time
Right.
ago. So then you got to give the credit to something else,
Right.
because it's absolutely nothing you would have
Yeah.
manufactured.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's
man.
awesome, man. so tell me a little bit about what's the day in the life of Jeremy Jackson look like now?
Yeah.
You know, you get up we were talking before this, you get up early,
Yeah.
you do jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
every day,
Yeah.
6 a.m.
That's right. Yeah.
Roll around with Clifton and some old guys, right?
Hang out with the
yeah.
homies.
Yeah.
Time well spent. I like to get up early in the morning. I've recently, had a cold, and God was in Costa Rica, and that was like tested, and I found myself, getting down on myself for not sticking to my formula. And then there's a whole new lesson, like, okay, if it's not going your way all over again, just because
Right.
you thought your way was great,
Right.
So I actually made myself get a little sicker by trying to push the agenda.
Yeah.
But, what a good day looks like is up at 5 a.m. I like to post a daily reading. I was sending it out to a couple hundred people every day, which is from one of my favorite authors, Emmett Fox. And that got a little time consuming. It was taking me over an hour. So I switched to posting it online,
Right.
and text everybody, hey, check it out right here.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Jiu-jitsu or the gym at 6 a.m. I come home, shower change, pack my food, hang out with my lovely girlfriend. I go to work from 9 to about 2:30 in the afternoon. I do 3, sometimes 4 groups, but mostly just 3 groups at different treatment centers. So I get to drive around. I'm cruising down PCH. Sometimes
Yeah.
a tear will just come in my eye, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at this. I get to drive down PCH every day on my way to work to spend an hour with some people. How cool is that, dude?
Isn't that cool when we just getting moments of gratitude out of nowhere? I mean, I got it today. I was like, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I'm going to have all 3 of my kids under one roof, which their ages 26 to 4.
Yeah,
So they're never under one roof.
yeah.
And it's just a cool thing. And I just got kind of like this moment a day, and I don't get that unless I'm sober. And,
Right.
Or
Or
out of
present.
myself and present. And those are the things that just make it worth it,
Priceless.
And when I was
Priceless.
using it in my stuff, I
that-
love my kids.
It's a nightmare that they would be all together
Yeah,
under one roof,
yeah,
because that's
it's
going to be
just like-
chaotic, and you're going to have to hide more. And
I was missing Christmas and,
Oof.
not showing up. And
swear we were going to make it.
Yeah.
Swore we were going to make it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there.
Right.
Dude, couldn't get there.
Yeah.
So then, what a blessing. I get to get done at 2:30. I run a couple little errands, make some calls. I got a lot of guys that I mentor and work with, and get to a little spiritual gathering, fellowship meeting around 5:30. I'm home at 7, and I get to wind down, maybe do some
Love it.
notes, and crash out pretty
Yeah.
early. Do it all over again,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. All right. Last question for that person that's struggling right now in their addiction, in their alcoholism, feeling like there's no hope. What's your message for them?
The message is, it's a tough one, man. That the struggle is not real. The struggle is an idea in which you happen to be familiar with. It is a familiar past. It's based on all of your experiences and your traumas and your perspective of life. And letting go of that, taking the leap into the unknown, the unfamiliar, the uncomfortable, having some trust and some faith, that Hail Mary. Put up that Hail Mary, man. Shoot the shot and let us help you. Because if you continue to believe and experience and know only what you know, nothing changes. But there's huge breakthroughs on the other side of that jump. You've just yet to experience them. And people can tell you about how great it is till they're blue in the face, but you have to experience it. And once you know, you can never not know. And once you know, and you know you can't not know, you can continue to change anything. Because if you can change one thing, you can change anything. And you'll be introduced to a new sense of personal power and a new way of living. And we want to give it to you, and we want to give it to you for free. We want to help you with all of our experience. So that struggle, it's an illusion, although it feels very, very real. It's a web of lies that you can continue to experience, or you can jump out of the frying pan and get in the fire with us.
Love it. Thank you. All right.
Love you,
Thanks
buddy.
for coming in, Jared. Love you too,
Thank
man.
you, Chris.
That was awesome. All right,
Appreciate
brother.
you, brother.
All right.